Yeah, no, it's a little bit of a lighter Tuesday, but the rest of the week's gonna be crazy. Since the election's today,
Oh yeah,
not a
that's
lot
a
of
whole
people
nother
are
topic.
yeah,
So,
exactly. Not a lot of people are working today, so
you ready to dive right in?
yeah, let's do it, dude.
All right. So, you're an MLO,
Yep, mortgage loan
right?
originator. Yep.
Right. So, explain for the people what that is, what exactly what you do.
So as a mortgage loan officer, what we do is we help guide people through the home buying process and also put the entire process together for them. So from the step of the intake, whether it's the initial call for doing the pre-approval all the way to the closing table, that's what I do. I'm involved in every step of the way for that.
Nice. And how long have you been doing this job now?
So I've been doing this for this will be my sixth year. So I'm a
Awesome.
senior loan originator by definition of New York State, but I've been doing it for
What is
six
this mean? You're
years.
5 years?
So 5 years, right? Yes.
That's interesting because some people have been in the job for 20 years and you're already a senior after five, which
Yeah,
is
like it depends. Like if you are a manager, like some of the, like if you have salespeople underneath you, like some of them you'll just automatically become a senior loan officer. It just really depends on the company you're with. But that's I give myself that title, and then thankfully the company that I'm at now gave me that title too. So.
Hunter, what inspired you to do this job?
So I'd start because I was working at a concession stand for about 6 years, right?
Really?
And I was a younger guy. I'm only 25. I'll be
What were you
25
selling?
this year. So we were just doing, I was doing like kind of wine and smaller finger foods and stuff. And I was working at more of an upscale area, selling that type of thing. And then I
Nice.
got the opportunity to dive into this when I was 19. So
19. Wow.
yeah, I started doing it when I was 19. I had a couple friends in it. I had a family member in it. And everyone's like, just give it a shot, try it. And then I blinked, and now I'm here, six
You
years
had to
later.
be the youngest loan officer at that time at 19.
Prob might have been, man, might have been. It was definitely a change. It was a curveball because I went to Suffolk Community College, and then I went to Farmingdale State College, and then throughout my entire time being there in college, I was doing mortgages too, right? So it was interesting networking with younger people who are real estate agents too, who just got their license there too. So it was a really good step and a good way for me to network there as well.
And just to be clear, your job does not require a bachelor's.
No, no, but I've always just, I finished my college degree. I have it in business administration. Um, but it definitely does help though, because there's things about business that starting out, it's good to know because people get into this business, you know, not knowing anything, right? But getting that degree kind of helped me understand how business works in a sense.
Right, because not everything's online. So
Right, exactly.
it does beg the question though, why aren't there more like 18, 19-year-old loan officers? Why is it that people usually start in their late 20s, 30s, 40s? Why is it that people don't start earlier?
I think the biggest disconnect that's happening, especially right now, is we're seeing a lot of dis people saying, don't get into it. Don't get into real estate right now. It's a crazy time. Why would you do that? Why would you get into mortgages? Why would you get into this? Why would you get into that? It's a lot of people telling you don't try it, right? Because ultimately I'm 100% commission, right? So I don't get paid a salary, right? It's up to me to contribute to my 401k, to everything else. It's about how you make it. And ultimately, it's the same way as someone telling you, don't start that business. It's a bad idea, right? Because you're a business owner when you're a real estate
Yep,
agent or a
yep,
loan officer.
yep.
So that's where the disconnect's coming from. And then not a lot of people want to take that leap. And ultimately, people find it later in life, right? Which is fine too, obviously. But we are kind of gatekeeping the society that we have with between, kind of the housing market until people are in their later stages of life.
Yeah, there's a lot of risk involved when you go into your job or my job because, like you said, it's 100% commission based and not salary. And I feel like what happens is a lot of people in their 20s or 30s realize, I'm tired of the 9 to 5. I'm tired of my job. Let me try something new. That's because that's basically what I did. And I
Hmm.
think that's what a lot of people do. And then what happens is they go, you know what? I wish I started earlier. I wish I started
Yeah.
earlier. Everyone says that. So in both our jobs. So that's how it is. So with you, I started at 34. So you
Okay.
you started at 19, which is amazing. So you don't have to say that you started early.
No, yeah, I've been doing this for it's a good portion of my life now. It's only been 6 years, but it's a portion of my life for sure. And I have a couple of friends who got into it when I did too, and they're not in the industry. And it's funny to see the people that you started with, whether it's old referral partners or people in the industry, and they're no longer here. They're data analysts now, right? Some people don't survive in the industry, especially after even their first year.
Yeah, what is the dropout rate? Do you know the turnover
I'm
rate?
not entirely sure what the dropout rate is, but I know a lot of, let's say for real estate agents, I know a lot of people hold licenses, but how much of those agents are doing business, it's got to be what, 30, 40, maybe even up to 50%, especially for this year. It's been a pretty dry year for a lot of people that I know. So I can't imagine it being at least a good portion of people just not doing anything specifically.
Yeah, I mean, I know with real estate, I think the first year is like 85% dropout, and then I think by 5 years it's 90%. So
Right,
either
exactly.
way is
Yeah. So
really
but
high.
I'm saying people who got their license this year and then now they're already dropping out, right? It's got to be at least half the people because it's such a competitive economy and a competitive market.
Yeah, it's very competitive, and a lot of people simply don't have the money to buy, which is a whole nother story. Hunter, tell us about your very first year. I know you were juggling college. That must have been really hard. Tell us about that year.
Yeah, it's tough because I was trying to guide myself on a path to where, okay, like I'm gonna go get my master's degree. I'm gonna do all this. I want to get into financial banking for Chase and stuff like that. I wanted to really go top above and beyond. And so I was in some really difficult classes throughout college. And then all of a sudden now my office is down the block from my college. So I'll be at college at 8 in the morning. Then my class is done at 12. I'll go to the office and then I'll do night classes. So I'm there from 8 o'clock to 12, and then I'm going to the office till 7 o'clock at night, and then I'm at college again till 9 o'clock at night. Right.
24/7.
And then that was my entire Monday through Friday. And then on the weekends, on this business, as you know, weekends aren't days off for us because we have open houses,
Hmm.
right? So I'll be at open houses Saturday and Sunday, right? So there was really no time to have that college experience, but I'm glad that I didn't, right? Because a lot of people don't make progress when you're just partying, right? It's either you're working or you're not.
Yeah, that there's a whole different philosophy, because some people say, well, it's you only have one childhood, and everyone has their own philosophy on
Of
like
course.
work versus play. So in your first year, how many loans did you close your
In my
first?
first year, I think I did, that was, I think about maybe 6 or 7 in my
Wow.
first year.
I feel like
Yeah,
that's really good for the first year.
I got pretty lucky. I met up with some really interesting people. I met up with a couple of veterans, some pretty big people in, the Northport area, and I kind of found myself scattering my referral sources all over Long Island,
Mhm.
right? And that's ultimately how it kind of gave me that boost for the first year.
You know what's interesting is because sometimes, like, you said you were 19 years old, and sometimes I feel like teenagers and very, very young people are often not taken very seriously. Like I can see myself, like, let's say I started real estate at 18. I can see people saying, oh, I don't want to work with this 18-year-old.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yeah,
And
and you know what, the where that comes from is I had a lot of help with leadership too. Like, when I would set up meetings with agents, I would have someone with me, right, to do it. But ultimately I'm handling account. But that initial conversation is like, look, I know I'm young, but I have this support with me. And then the trust that's built over time from servicing and doing the right job over and over again, you forget how old I am. You just all you know is that he's the best, right?
right.
Not how
Well,
old he is. They remember, oh, he does an amazing job.
and it also helps to say that you have a team. Like I feel
Right,
like
of
when
course.
I tell people I have a team, I feel like that's inspiring to them.
hmm
So, Hunter, walk us through a normal day in your shoes. What time do you wake up? Coffee or tea? Walk us through a normal day.
So I wake up around 6:30, 7 o'clock. I go to the gym every single day.
Oh,
I
seven
only
days a
take
week?
7 days. I only take off days unless I absolutely have to.
Wow.
So I'll do 6 days workout and then one day cardio, but either way, I'm there every day. I'll get there. I leave around 8:30, 9 o'clock. Come home. My phone's already blowing up by 8:30, right? So I'm on the
8:30
phone.
a.m. Wow.
Yeah, it's because I have a lot of clients who work night shifts. So
Mhm.
they're home and they're like, oh, perfect time to talk to them because I'm available 24/7, right? In this business, if you're not, someone else is going to answer the
Yep.
phone,
Yep.
right?
Takes up
So
the next
boom,
guy.
I go home, I shower, get to the office by like 9:30, right? And we're basically doing a lot of things throughout the day, and a big focus that I've been doing recently is it's a little bit of a slower period right now since the election, people are skeptical about maybe I'll wait to buy type of thing, right? So right now we have a lot of people on the fence. So what I'm doing right now is I'm doing a lot of outreach. So, we have our recording studio and our commercial grade studio downstairs that I was talking about before. It's about 5,000 square feet, and we're making tons of videos, tons of content, having a lot of different individuals, accountants, realtors, attorneys come in. We're making videos, we're making things to put on social media, we're promoting it, and we're just trying to get our name out there as much as possible. That way, for the new year, we're ready to go.
Yep,
Right, because it's going to blow up again. Whether you know when that's happening, I'd rather be prepared than get hit by it,
of
and
course,
get sidelined, you know?
of course.
So
So,
that's what we're doing all day. We're just doing that. We're working on loans still. We're working on our current pipelines, but ultimately our main focus is outreach right now for sure.
and then what time do you stop working? Is it just all day?
So, because I'm about 30 minutes from my office, right?
Oh,
So, it's if I let's say I wanted even if I wanted to leave at 4 o'clock, I'm not getting home till 5:30 because for
right,
the traffic.
right.
So that kind of keeps me stuck there and doing what I need to do to about 7 o'clock at night. So ultimately I really don't get home until 7:38. So I'm basically out the door by 9:30, not home till 8:30.
So you mentioned an office. Now, obviously, you have a computer at home. What
Yeah.
inspired you to go to the office if you already have a computer?
Yeah, yeah. So I was working from home for a year. For a year straight, I really was mainly at home. And, after doing it for so long, you miss that environment, right? You miss being around people. I have no problem with being home a couple of days a week, sure, but ultimately now I'm back in the office 4 days a week. Maybe on Friday I'll stay home if it's a slower day, right? But ultimately I'm back in there every day now, and that's just because the game has changed. People are changing. Your clients are going back to work in office. You should too, type of thing, right? And that's kind of how I see it. And I just miss that interaction with my coworkers too,
Well,
you
it,
know?
it also helps when you have nice coworkers who are friendly in the
Right,
workplace and who you like. I'm sure that it depends on the coworkers too, because
right.
I'm sure that if they were more nasty, then you probably wouldn't go. And
I'd probably stay home. And plus my processors and my underwrite, so on my team, we have two dedicated processors and a dedicated underwriter, right? So I need to be in office talking to them at all times, right? So a lot of loan officers that I speak to, their processors are out of state, their underwriters are out of state, or they work from home, right? And you aren't getting answers on anything for 2 or 3 hours, sometimes the whole day, right? When I'm in office, I can get answers in 20 seconds because I'm looking at the person working on the file. So it's all about efficiency. It's all about turnaround and closing times. And if you can't talk to your team right away about things, your closing times are just going to go up.
time is a factor.
Yeah.
Have I interviewed anyone that you work with or anyone that you know?
Not that I was looking through some of your videos. I don't think I saw anyone in there. But I'll definitely take a look again. You might have. But I know a ton of real estate agents, obviously being in this industry and attorneys and accountants. But I'll definitely take a look through again. I don't think I saw anyone
And,
specifically though.
and where are you located?
So I live out of Babylon, so my home office is in Babylon, but my actual office is in Uniondale.
Okay.
It's next to Hofstra University.
Okay, so I'm in Flora Park, but I actually grew up in Bayshore, so I grew up around there.
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
Um,
right on.
Hunter, what is your least favorite thing about being an MLO?
Least favorite thing, man. Least favorite thing, and you can't blame the client for this. You really can't because everyone is going to ultimately be skeptical about things, or they're going to just not interpret information the way that you intend them to. But it's people really not grasping the gravity of certain situations, right? Oh, I'll get you that. Don't worry. I'll get you it next week type of thing. Like, look, if we want to close now, if your rate is expiring in 10 days, right? You can't get me this document in 10 days. We need to close in 10 days, right? You need to get me it today, right? And I think just explaining to people the gravity of certain situations while also staying in a business form and a more relationship and keeping that relationship and not kind of blowing up like, well, I need this document right now. What are you doing? Right? Getting that over to them, I think, is my least favorite thing because I cared maybe too much at times, and that kind of drives me nuts at certain points, you know?
So you clearly take your job seriously, and it sounds like there's probably some egos that you have to deal with along the way.
Of
But
course, everyone has an ego, right? Even myself, but and plus when you're working with a real estate agent and attorney, as being in New York, all we do is work with attorneys too, right? So we're
yeah,
working with the buyer's agent, the seller's agent, the seller's attorney, the buyer's attorney, the people's parents. It's, everyone, you have a team of 12 for one transaction, right? It's about keeping that relationship steady, I think, and sometimes it may be difficult with people who aren't as serious about it as you are.
is there often times when someone says, "Listen, you got to speak to my dad or you got to speak to my mom"? Does that happen
Yeah,
a lot?
of
Yeah,
course, especially when we get gifts, right? When we have a gift, like, look, my dad just wants to make sure that you're legit. I talk to parents all the time. I talk to parents all the time
there
when,
must be
when you're
people in their like early 20s or something.
right, you have young kids who are getting a $60,000 check given to them to buy a house. They're like, well, let me make sure the person's doing it actually knows what they're doing. And I honestly love that because at least I know that everyone's serious about it. Because if you're putting dad or mom on the phone, I know this is serious, right? Because now we're actually getting into this.
It's a good point. And it's kind of like you'd rather speak to the more knowledgeable one, I guess.
Yeah.
I asked the same question, what is your least favorite thing, to a loan officer a few weeks ago, and he said his least favorite thing is, well, my friend said this. So, well, my friend said that I can get this interest rate. Well, my friend said that I can do this. Do you deal with that
Mm.
a lot?
Yeah, of course, of course. There's always, and plus we live in such a time where people can just type in anything and get any information. But that's also a problem too, is that if I type in what's the minimum down payment for conventional, people will say 3%, right?
Yep.
But the thing is, though, that's really kind of changed where you have to make that pass. You have to make that work through the automatic underwriting system. So all I'm really seeing is like 5% pass a lot of times, right? 3% I still get passing, but it's really probably better to do 5%. So when people call me and like, oh, I thought it was only 3% down, it's like, well, this is the difference here,
Yep.
right? And I think it's just the knowledge and the education and how you explain things to people too, like I said before, is important. But yeah, I definitely do get that. Like let's say I'm competing with Chase on a deal. Oh, the Chase guy said this. And it's like, well, the Chase guy is in Indiana
Yeah.
and he doesn't work on weekends.
Yeah.
So do me a favor. We're speaking at Saturday at 8 o'clock at night. I want you to give him a call right now. Oh, he didn't answer? Okay. Well, does he really care that much? And that's what it comes down to, too, is really in reinforcing in people. Sometimes you got to be strong. Sometimes you got to really,
Assertive.
fight back at it because it's like, look, this is the reality of the situation. I care way more than whoever else you're working with right now, and I can guarantee you that.
What's the name of your company again?
So I'm at Cliffco Mortgage Bankers.
So, what is the difference between, let's say, agents in your company and agents that work for the big banks like Chase? Like, I would imagine that you guys, it's a lot more personal. You're a lot easier to reach. Like, do those guys at Chase Bank of America, do they give their personal phone numbers out?
So I've met with a couple of them. Some of them do, right? Some of them just have office numbers where if I'm not in office at the time when you're calling me, you're leaving me a message. And until I get back to the office, I'm not getting back to you, right? Um, but some of them are good. Look, I'm not going to berate all of them for not being good. I know a
Right.
couple of guys that I've spoken to in the past, and a lot of them do really care, right? But I would say a very large amount of them are just like, they're there to just get paid, right? Because you get leads thrown at them constantly. It's Chase or it's Bank of America. People are calling them all the time. I need a mortgage. Boom, easy, right? So when you have so many leads coming at you, how much do you really care? Because the next guy might have a better credit score and as a W-2 worker, but the guy I'm on the phone with right now is a self-employed guy who has negative tax returns, and now I have to look at his tax returns. I'm going to hang up on that guy realistically and say you don't qualify, right? And so
Right.
that's where the personability comes from in that situation.
Yeah, well, maybe I mean, they deal with so many people that they're probably faster to dismiss people, maybe because they get so many leads. So,
Of course.
where do you get your leads from?
So I get my leads a lot. I mean, I started out grassroots, and so a lot of where I get my leads from is attorneys, real estate agents, family friends will get some referrals from, but mainly where I get my referrals from is attorneys and realtors.
I
Sometimes
figured
past
it'd be,
clients too.
I thought it would be realtors because we're the first persons we kind of need each other,
Hmm.
like we need you because we can't we can't approve a loan. So if
Right.
it's a loan, then we're gonna hit you up. And I personally already have like three loan officers that I kind of rotate,
Hmm.
so I'm sure that you're in some people's rotation. So
Yeah,
that's
listen, you know what? It's work. Listen, you can work with two or three other people, that's fine. But giving me that chance to show you that I'm better is what I really pitch to people. And it's like I already know my system's better and I'm confident in what we can do. And plus providing and plus providing just the media of everything too, the social media growth too that we
right.
offer between the recordings. No other lender on Long Island can offer that, and there's no other lender with a recording studio in their basement. Some of them come into the office. Maybe they have an MSA. They'll bring their iPhone with a dongle on it, and they'll walk around making videos. That's different than actually coming in and making a legit video, right, and getting it professionally done. And there's no other person that can offer that. And that's value. That's real value, right? That's not anyone can answer the phone. You can't provide that. That's real value.
Are you in your office right now or are you at home right now?
I'm home right now. I had a couple meetings before this, and then I'm gonna go in a little later. I'll be playing basketball till 9 o'clock at night, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna take some time to, I'm gonna try not to be there for 11 hours today.
And make sure you stretch first, verse. Very, very important.
Yep, yep.
Hunter, do you deal with commercial real estate as well?
Yeah, so I have commercial loan options. Listen, commercial is not the easiest market right now, obviously, just for anyone. Um, but ultimately what we have a couple of options for commercial. Yeah, whether it's in the investment route or it's the route of going off of, hey, listen, we're going to occupy this property, we're going to run our business out of here. This is what we're doing, right? There's a difference between having an investment commercial and uh, an actual direct commercial.
Hunter, tell us the difference between a mortgage banker and a loan officer.
So a mortgage banker, sometimes it's difficult to say that because they do operate in very similar capacities, right? But oftentimes you'll find mortgage bankers maybe on like the more bigger bank side where you have maybe Chase, something like that. And a lot of those people are registered loan officers, right? There's a difference between a registered loan officer and a mortgage loan originator. What's the difference? One of them actually has to take an exam to become a professional loan officer. The other one
Interesting.
is a registered one, right?
Interesting.
So if you let's say you walk into a big bank and you say, hey, listen, I'm looking for a loan officer. And this is a real story that happened to me because I used to go around to big banks like this and ask for their loan officer just to see what happens. You walk in there and I was like, oh, I'm looking for the loan officer. And one guy stands up and he looks at me and he says, well, we're all kind of really loan officers. What can I help you with? And I'm like, what? What does that even mean? You're kind of
Right.
one.
Right.
Right? That doesn't make any sense. Like, so that's the difference. And it's one of them is actually licensed. I would say the other one, is a registered representative for an institution.
Interesting, because I thought they both required tests. That's very interesting.
So, listen, it depends on what capacity the mortgage banker is working in, right? If they're working as a mortgage banker for an institution, they can be registered. If they're a mortgage banker, a mortgage banker is probably a direct lender too, most of the time, right? So, a direct lender is the only person who's handing out the money specifically straight from them, right?
Hmm.
Kind of a loan officer maybe could act in a broker capacity where I'm shopping around seeing which lender will do the deal and what the pricing would be.
Interesting. And just for the viewers at home, for the
Mhm.
people who are thinking about getting into it, who would you say generally makes more money, generally?
Well, let's look at it from instead of asking the mortgage banker versus the MLO question, let's maybe look at it from lender versus broker. Let's look at it from that perspective instead, because I think that's much more relatable. One's a direct lender, the other one is brokering out. Sometimes you'll find that a broker will have a much more higher capacity in order to get certain loans done. But ultimately, it's going to be the lender who can get it done faster and more efficiently, right? And I've worked both on the lender and the broker side. I've been on both sides of this coin. So I recently just switched from the broker world to back to the lending world. I started off as a lender, went to broker, then I went back to lending, right?
Interesting.
Because yes, did I have a couple more options to do things? Sure. But I also know that my efficiency and my quality is much better at a lender, right? And the rates, as the margins change and they fluctuate, we're seeing them come closer and closer together to where the difference doesn't really matter.
Interesting.
So, who would make more money? It depends on the LO, obviously, right? It depends on, okay, what the capacity they're operating in. But right now, I think brokers as an individual may be making a little bit more money, but I think the change is going to come where you're going to see lenders back on top. It's because the margins are just shifting in the direction to where it's going to be better to be a lender to make money than it is a broker.
Very interesting. Yeah, because the market is constantly changing, the economy is
Hmm.
constantly changing. Today's election day. We'll see what happens. It's going to be
See what
interesting.
happens. Regardless, whoever wins, things a change is going to come to the market.
Yeah.
Regardless of whoever wins, something's going to happen. And I think in any capacity, if Trump or Kamala wins, it's going to be better to be on the lending side because it's just how the economic policies for both of them are going to change the housing market in general. It's going to be better to be on this side of the coin.
Yeah. So it's very interesting, like the way that the way that you can't really give like a black and white answer for so many different questions because the market is constantly changing, and
Right.
it's the same thing with real estate. Like it's constantly changing, but it's good for the people at home to know that for the people who are thinking about maybe entering the mortgage world. Hunter, do you view other loan officers as competition?
Sometimes, of course. Do I have disagreements with a lot of loan officers too? Of course I do. Because people will be suggest and competition's an interesting word because it's different because I've met tons of loan officers in my career. And the difference between having a friendly competition, like, I just gotta, I'll call up someone that I know. David, I got one of your pre-approvals in my hand right now. Your client's shopping you. You know that, right? And so, we'll talk about it. We'll go over it, be like, hey, listen, I can offer a better rate. Like, let's just work it out, right?
Uh-huh.
With the client. Like, I can give them a better rate, I can give them a better deal. People I know, it's a friendly competition and they get it, right? And then maybe, hey, listen, you know what? I can't get this deal done here for whatever reason. David, I know you can, right? Can you maybe want to talk to this client, see what you can do, right? Those are the relationships I like to build. But for the competition for everyone else, yeah, it's a brutal world out here in the mortgage offices. It's crazy. The backstabbing that it's Game of Thrones.
Really?
It's Game of Thrones out here for sure. You know, it's, hey, listen, you already know I work with this referral partner, but you keep blowing up their phone saying that I'm doing this, that they can do better than me in this capacity, things like that. It's not so friendly out here. It's about it with the friends that you have, of course, but things can get a little,
Bloody?
very competitive, very, very competitive with people for sure.
It's an interesting, very interesting answer. I like that answer because it's very realistic. And, it's the same thing with real estate. Like sometimes I'll deal with realtors, a lot of listing agents, especially, and they'll just be nasty right off the bat. And the
Of
thing is,
course.
like my philosophy, the way I look at it is they're probably doing that because they view me as competition of some sort, I think, or maybe they're
Right?
just
Or
having a
they
bad
think they
day.
just know better, right? Then people are narcissistic in these type of industries. They think they know better and they suggest things that maybe they didn't really think all the way through. There's another way to get there and it's more efficient, right? But they're so stuck in their ways that they will suggest that option till they die.
But that nastiness and that ego, it has to affect their business. Like I can't imagine a business in any business, it doesn't matter. I can't imagine nastiness not hurting your salaries to a certain extent, because we can make money off each other. Realtors make money off each other. I'm sure loan officers make money off each other, and we definitely make money off each other.
Of
So,
course.
so I just can't see like someone's nastiness not hurting their salary at
And you
all.
know what? Sometimes I know the nastiest real estate agents that I probably know really gut-wrenching individuals and they make tons of money. So sometimes, yes, it does affect their pockets, but sometimes they just have the luck of the draw and they got good referral sources to get their things going.
Well,
Right?
maybe they're
So
only nice to the clients and then they're nasty to the realtors, I
that's
guess.
probably what's happening.
Yeah, that's a
That's
whole
pro
different story.
that's probably what's happening there.
But for the people listening, I personally don't suggest being nasty. I
Of
believe what goes
course
around
not.
comes around. It's, obviously a personal philosophy, but I don't suggest being nasty for a very long, both moral and financial reason.
Yes. Look, are we all in competition with each other? Inherently, the answer is yes. We are. We all
Well,
are,
not loan
especially
officers and realtors, not
no,
a
but I'm saying just regard realtors and realtors and
yeah,
mortgage loan officers and
yeah,
loan officers.
yeah.
Yeah, are we all are in competition with each other one way or another, but it's about the network of people that we know. It's building relationships with other people because you never know where you're going to end up. You never know if I'm going to be on the other end of the deal with you. If you're selling a house, Christian, and I'm a real estate agent, and we had a nasty exchange one time, and I have a buyer, you know, I like this other offer better. You
Exactly.
know,
Or the
I
next
work. Hey, listen, and you're not even breaking any rules by saying that to the seller. I've worked with this agent in the past. Very difficult to work with. Honestly, I'm not really confident they'll get the deal done and make things smooth.
it's your honest opinion.
And that's honest. And it could be true.
Right.
And so that's why having a great relationship with every single person you run into as best as you can is important because you never know who's going to be on the other end of a deal. You'd never
It's a
know.
people business. It's all about people. And, I try to be really friendly. Sometimes people are very fiery. And,
Hmm.
this is, well, we could talk about this all day, but
Of
let's move on
course.
to the next question. Hunter, tell us about one unforgettable experience you've had in your career.
Well, unforgettable. I'll say that I had a client who I worked on for over a year and a half. They had a 550 credit score, I believe somewhere around there. I helped them regrow their credit. I got them up to a 650, right? And
How'd
once
you
they
do
got
that?
so yeah, I mean, I know, listen, being and doing this all for a long time, you learn about credit analysis. You learn about, hey, listen, if you utilize this much of your credit card, you become an authorized user on this person's card. You pay down this debt this much. You know, I know your score is going to get here in 1 month, 2 months, maybe 3 months, right? So
Yep.
you just know you just get that experience. Especially you can run credit analysis too. But I did all of that for this person, and they find a house. Perfect. Let's go into contract. Let's get this done. Let's in and out. Come on. We've been doing this for almost a year now. Let's get this going, right?
Wow, almost a year. Wow.
Yeah, it took a long time. And plus them trying to find a place, very picky buyers, which is fine. People are picky. It's like I get it. You're not buying an Arizona iced tea. You're buying the largest investment you ever make in your life, right?
Right, right.
So, and then I get a call. Hey, listen, my brother just got his license. He's a loan officer, and he said he can help me out instead. And I'm like, well, let's pause for a second. How long has your brother been in the business? Oh, he just got his license. He just got hired by a company. Oh, that's amazing. Um, Look, do you really trust someone who just got their license to do this for you? Well, he's my brother. Of course I trust him. And I remember ultimately what happened was they go into contract and they switch banks and they start working with the brother. Annoying, very
Yep.
annoying for sure, right? You spend so much time on someone and then they turn around and they bite you in they stab you in the
Almost
back.
a year.
But that's what happens a lot in this industry. Ultimately, this is what happens, right? But, you know, 2 months later, I get a call from her again. And I'm like, what's up? What's going on? Did you guys close? Just being nice, right? Whatever. Maybe they're calling because they want to refer someone over. Hey, listen, my brother can't get the deal done. He said something about the ratios. He wasn't really too sure of what happened. And I'm like, seriously? I'm like, and then I went off on them a little bit. I'm like, I told you this. Like, I told you this is what was going to happen. And ultimately, I got the deal in. I got the contract. I had to redo the whole thing, and we closed it in 2.5 weeks.
Oh, you took him back. You took him
Took him
back.
back because their brother couldn't do it.
Well, that's really interesting because there are a lot of people who wouldn't take them back. And back to the ego thing, like I try my best to not let my ego affect my salary. And I feel like that's what you did. You didn't say like F off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like, look, like at the end of the day, a deal's a deal. I already did so much legwork for it. Yeah, they turned around and did this, but I'm got pretty tough skin at this point. That's not the first time that's ever happened to me, right? So, and I've had clients turn around, go to a different bank, come back to me all the time. And it's not even about the rate. It's not even about this. Could just be random things. Hey, listen, my husband, he really just prefers working with this guy who's known him a long time, right? Things like that. And then they end up turning around and coming back to you.
And I'm sure there are some loan officers who say, no, I'm good. I already dealt with you. You already left me. I'm good.
I've heard of people being such nightmares who are like, look, someone else can handle this. I'm good.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's why I try not to be like that as a realtor. Like I try to just suck it up, and I try not to let my ego affect my money. So
Yeah, of
that's my
course.
philosophy. And maybe when I'm making more, maybe I'll be a little bit more picky. But for now,
Yeah.
I'll stick to this way. Hunter, approximately how much per month do you spend into your business?
Well, it's an interesting question. Like, I used to spend a decent amount on things like Zillow, right? But then you kind of
Yeah.
had a lot of people, a lot of real estate agent companies were like, hey, we have all this money. Like, let's just buy Zillow. Let's just buy the whole area. So now on Long Island, you have a lot of parts of the island that are dominated by certain companies for Zillow, right? I'm not going to say
Mhm.
any names, right? Maybe you could do some, I'm sure you have a couple in head that
Mhm.
do that. So
Mhm.
what I spend money on now is I just focus on social media marketing. That's it. Yeah, I push out
Interesting.
Facebook. I create Facebook ads. I create meta ads rather. I spend time paying for studio time for me and my referral partners, right? Things like that. This is where I'm pushing it. Yeah, do I do some Zillow? Sure, that's fine. I'll do a little bit, right? Hey, if an agent that I've worked with, we close a deal every month and they want to spend X amount on Zillow, we'll do a relationship where, hey, listen, what we're gonna do, let's try this out for a couple months, see what happens. But right now that's where my focus is, and that comes back to what my ultimate focus is right now is just pushing out as much social media presence and getting our name out there as much as possible.
Yeah, social media is very powerful. That's very interesting because, have you ever actually, I'm going to assume
Mhm.
that the answer is yes, that you've actually had closings through social media and through,
Yeah, listen,
through Instagram.
it's not even a client. It's not business directly to the consumer, but it's more business to business referral where I DM'd you on TikTok,
Yep.
right?
That's
You're a
what happened.
realtor. That's where the business comes from. It's not
Yep.
me directly associating myself with clients and reaching out to them. It's me reaching out to the referral partners themselves.
Very
And
interesting.
so, and plus my team has a ton of success doing this too.
Hunter, do you have tips for new loan officers?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a couple. One, don't listen to your family members say it's not a good time to do it because they're the same people
Who will use
who,
you?
yeah, who will use you, right? Things like that. And plus, and a lot of people will just tell you not to do something in life, and
Yeah.
it's really whether or not you pick that road. Are you in control of your own destiny, or are you just going to listen to your family members for the rest of your life? Right? Do you look, this business is not easy whatsoever. And I think a lot of people have this misconception where I'm going to become a real estate agent and just sell houses. I'm going to become a loan officer and just close some deals. Isn't it? If you don't have deals, you're not closing anything. So the hardest part about this business is getting deals, getting your name out there. Because if you don't have any of that, you're not going to get anything. So getting your name out there as soon as possible, networking as much as you can, growing your social media presence, growing your name on the streets, going to open houses, even if let's say you're at an open house with an agent and a buyer's agent walks in, you just introduce yourself. You're like, hey, listen, good to meet you, because you're going to see those people again.
Yep.
It's about getting your name out there and literally not listening to any background noise of what do you do? Like, can you just go get an actual job? Right? Because
Yep.
sometimes when you have bad months, it feels like a hobby, right? But when you have really good months, you're on top of the world, right? And that's another thing is that you have to ignore the the yin and the yang of the industry where, hey, listen, now, I'm having a little bit of a lull right now. Like maybe this isn't it for me. And then a month later, they'll be doing great, right? It's about balancing that.
Hunter, where can people find you?
So you can find me on multiple platforms. So I'm on TikTok, Instagram. You can find me at Finance by Hunter. Either one will link directly to my Instagram or TikTok page. And, on there I put links to either fill out a mortgage application for buyers, or, if you want to connect and just talk about more about how I can help